Episode 294. Daddy will give you whatever you want. Parent-child outfits. Jake put his hands into his trouser pockets and slowly followed them. Henry was carrying Julianne in his arms. She had a big smile on her pink face. Looking around with her round and dark eyes, she saw a clown selling cotton candy, who was surrounded by a lot of children and parents. She saw the colorful marshmallows and the balloons floating in the wind, and her eyes were shining. She begged with a sweet voice,
"I want it, Uncle Henry. I want cotton candy and also balloons."
Jeremy was with Seth. Vanessa bought sugar apples for them, and they walked inside while eating. Henry lined up to buy the little girl cotton candy and balloons. Julianne held the balloon in one hand and the cotton candy in the other, giggling with her sticky face. From time to time, Serena took out a wet tissue to wipe her face. Henry smiled and gazed at the gentle movements of Serena, looking satisfied. Serena did not notice Henry's expression and complained, "Look at you, all sticky." Julianne handed the bear stick to Serena and shook her head.
"Not sticky. I still want to eat more."
"You're not allowed to. Too much candy will rot your teeth," Serena said righteously, taking her stick and throwing it into a trash can. Jeremy and Seth entered the amusement park, and they were more excited than Julianne. Pulling each other, they finally went to the ground to play the shooting game. Serena and Julianne watched them shoot in the back. The girl pulled her hand and whispered,
"Mommy, I want to pee."
Serena picked her up and excused themselves. She then took the little girl to the toilet. Julianne had no idea how to put on her overalls herself. After using the bathroom, the buttons were all wrong. When she opened the bathroom door and came out, Serena almost laughed. The belts were twisted and the pants were almost falling. Asking her daughter to wash her hands, Serena helped her button up. Julianne smiled and asked for a hug, and then they went out of the bathroom together. Not far from the bathroom, there was an air ride for children accompanied by an adult. It did not look dangerous, just about 10 feet high. There was laughter of children coming from the ride from time to time. Julianne's eyes lit up.
"Mom, I want to play that."
She sounded sweet and pointed at the small plane above.
"So much fun. Let's play together."
"Okay, let's go." Julianne dragged Serena and they went behind the line. The line was not long and it was soon their turn. Serena fastened her daughter's seatbelt and then hers. She whispered, "Don't be afraid. It will be pretty high later."
"I'm not afraid of it."
Julianne's little face was full of excitement, feeling nervous inwardly when she looked down. The small plane moved and she felt as if she was flying and screamed,
"Mom, I'm flying! Ah!"
Her voice was childish and tender, mixed with laughter. Serena saw her so happy and reached out to hug her. However, suddenly there was a muffled sound underneath. Feeling that she was almost thrown out, Serena suddenly panicked. With lots of screams, someone shouted, "Oh my! That little plane is going to fall!" Jake bought a cotton candy. Looking at the pink cloud, he was reminded of a sweet voice that said, "I still want to eat more." He was a long distance away, but his hearing was good enough to hear the little girl's voice. If his daughter wanted to eat cotton candy, then Daddy would buy it for her. Daddy will give you whatever you want. Jake's eyes dimmed under the sunglasses. Almost there. Just give him another 2 months. In 2 months, he would go home to reunite with his wife, his son, and daughter. The cotton candy was not long-lasting at all. In the wind, the fluffy and beautiful shape soon collapsed into a ball. Jake looked at the cotton candy in his hand and couldn't help but laugh at himself. He actually bought such a thing. For whom to eat? Going to the trash can, he threw the cotton candy into it. Suddenly, there was screaming. Listening to the noise, he turned to look at the place where everyone was gazing at. His pupils suddenly shrank. His heart was almost immediately in his throat. Wasn't it the air ride they just took? Serena was so scared that her face was pale. Holding Julianne with both arms, she put her head on top of her daughter's. The little girl opened her big eyes, completely unaware of what had happened, looking at Serena and asked,
"Mom, what happened to you?"
The staff of the park were all aware and immediately pressed the emergency stop button. Click! The ride was stopped immediately. Unfortunately, the loose little plane was at the highest point of the ride, 10 feet from the ground. There should still be 2 fixed points under each small plane, but one of those was obviously loose on the top of the small plane. The plane was slanting and swaying in the air, suspended high, and 3/4 of the seats were exposed in the air. There was only one very thin joint that was keeping them from falling. However, the overwhelming noise came from the bottom, sounding like music somehow. Every time it sounded, it made everyone scared. Almost everyone nearby looked over, and many people were taking pictures with their mobile phones. The screaming continued, and there were more and more people gathering. Serena was white as a sheet, holding her daughter and looking down, her heart almost jumping out of her chest. Breathing heavily, she did not dare to move and shouted, "Help!" It was summer. The outdoor temperature was scorching. The burning sun cast down and she was sweating all over. After a little while, Serena was soaked, holding the child, and remained motionless.
"Police! Call the police!"
"God, this is so weird! Save them!" "So high! If it falls..." Serena was shaking hard. Holding the child, she was scared and sobbing and shouting helplessly, "Help! Help us!" However, the sounds underneath was louder and louder. More and more people were gathering. Someone had called the police and some people went to seek help, but no one came to rescue them. Little Julianne had no idea what was going on, but when she saw her mother crying, she felt incredibly nervous, making her a little scared. She cried out and shouted, "Mommy!